Welcome to this edition of Coach's Corner. I'm April-Marie. Thanks so much for joining me. Today, I am with Tacoma Defiance's head coach, Hervé, Diese. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, April. I really appreciate your time. Thank you.
Yes, we appreciate the hospitality. Everything here is absolutely beautiful. This facility is beautiful. The weather is beautiful. But let's get down to business.
Let's go.
What led you to want to become a coach?
Oof. Deep, April.
I love the deep breath.
Well, I was born in Democratic Republic of Congo. At that time, it was called Zaire. And then my family immigrated to South Africa. We moved to South Africa in '93, right before Nelson Mandela came out of prison, which was kind of post-apartheid South Africa. And throughout my childhood, growing up in Johannesburg, I've always wanted to help the youth in some way. I just didn't know what I wanted to do. So I dabbled in everything. I did music, I did film, I did all sorts of things because I wanted to know how to influence them in a positive way. And then I did those things, but then eventually I didn't love it. You know, when you're on a set at 3 o'clock in the morning and you have stale McDonald's as your food, you don't want to be there anymore. So I figured, okay, what is that one thing that I really love to do, which was always sports. I was always on the field or on the court in some way, and soccer was always soccer was my first love of my life. And then I was coaching while I was in college until I met a gentleman by Steve Jones, who still works at New York Red Bulls, and he saw me coach. He invited me to go out and do a session for New York Red Bulls, and I was unprepared, completely unprepared. And after that, I don't even know how well I did in that session, but he pulled me aside and he said, listen, if you take this seriously, you could actually become a really good coach. Been almost 15 years now, and I've had those figures throughout my career that just have kept me pushing on since then. And then also I've realized the connection that I've made with young players.
Yes.
Being all over this country, in Europe as well, has been phenomenal, has been the best part about it. You can't put a price on value, and I feel like that's the most valuable part of my life so far.
Would you call yourself a teacher?
100%.
Ooh,
100%.
okay.
I am one of my many things that I actually was taught on is how to keep my conversations short, because every time I'm having a conversation with a player, I want to tell them stories. I want to give them analogies, because at heart I am a teacher. But what I've learned in the past 2 years, at least here in Seattle, is not just being a teacher towards the players, but also to staff and all of that stuff. And that's the type of education I've received over here in Seattle.
I think we need to add to that storyteller. Just in the short
100%.
amount of time, I can already tell you are a storyteller.
Yes, because that's the culture of Congolese people and other Africans is, we sit around and tell stories. It's one of the biggest things about being Congolese is the sense of community and how it takes a village, and everybody knows each other, right? I haven't been back home in a long time, but every single time I see my parents who live in the Congo currently, they love being there because you can literally just sit in front of your house and people come in and the whole community comes in and they tell stories, they share food and all of that stuff. And I miss that so much because culture's not that prominent here in the United States. Some places it is, but I wish it was a little bit more in certain areas. But yes, that's what I got from my culture, and that's what I like to share with everybody else.
And something that I find so unique about you is, since stepping into this role, one of the many things that you do is that you take your team on walks through the neighborhood in the morning. What is the significance behind that?
It was an advice from one of my mentors, where he said that you show your importance to your players by spending time with them, away from just the facility, right? This is their job. They come here every single day because they have to come here every single day. So they're obligated to be here. We are obligated to be here because this is our job. But when you take time away from your job to spend time with players, and just take walks through their neighborhoods and see what they think about different things, that some of their understanding of life and stuff like that. It's just a better connection that I will have with them. And then that way, when I ask them to do things, that it becomes a little bit easier because we have an understanding. It's also good for me to understand what type of temperament that they have. There's certain players where I can speak to them with a loud voice, and other ones I cannot. I have to whisper. I have to be in the ear. I won't be able to understand that if I don't spend those time with them.
And so obviously that's a major pinpoint when it comes to finding success on the pitch, being able to communicate. But how does that help in finding success for them off of the pitch?
Very good question. And this is for me the biggest part. And this is where I found the most solace in what I do is I always want to set them up for success, irregardless of whether it's here, moving to the first team, or where it's somewhere else, right? I always tell them that I am not your maker, right? It's not up to, what happens in your life is not up to me. I can affect it in a way that you may like or may dislike, but I'm not your maker. It's important that you are giving yourself the ingredients for you to thrive in all aspects of life, because you playing here is a small chapter of your life, like really, really small. So sometimes you have to take a couple of steps back and think, okay, I'm here, I need to learn something from here, I need to gain something from this chapter, and then I have to move on. And that goes with myself, it goes with the staff as well. Like one of my head of performance, he just left to go to Austin's first team. Like that's a success story, right? Sazi Di Rosario going to play for the first team. Stu Hawkins, same thing. Those are all even though we miss them,
right,
and we might not have that prolific striker all the time, or we might not have that strong defender all the time, but it's a success story because they've gone on to better things, and that's the key at the end of the day. So it's really important that they understand that about their lives, and this is just a chapter. You need to get what you need to get. Do not sleep on it. Gain all the experience and the knowledge and all the tools and ingredients that you need, and then after that, your life has to move forward.
So this is the stepping stone per se.
100%.
I'm curious to know though how you find the balance, because especially in this role with MLS Next Pro, there has to be a fine line between both winning games and developing players. So how do you find that medium?
It is the most difficult part. It's any second team coach here in the US, in South America, Africa, and Europe, in Asia. It's the most difficult part because sometimes you have to make decisions for the betterment of certain players, and that's just the truth. But you're trying to do that in a collective sport and still try to win games. And there are other times where no, we have to able to accept certain situations because this player really needs this. Like, for an example, maybe he's not having a good game. He's not playing a good game at all, but we need to keep him. He needs to not struggle, but he needs to learn through this process. And it might mean that, yeah, okay, we might fall short here and there in the game, but we know that if he goes through this right now, the player that's going to come out of this experience will help us in the end, and that's the most important part.
Definitely so valuable, my gosh. But up until this point today, Coach, what's been the most enjoyable experience for you?
Wow, meeting other coaches, understanding that you're not on this journey alone. I love the relationships that I've built with my competitors. Dan at the Town, Matt at Ventura, Serge at Portland, David Critchley, who is now with the first team at St. Louis. That is always the best part, when I get to sit down with them in the off season with Mark and discuss certain games, and oh, this is what we were trying to do, oh, but this is what you did, and having that battleship conversation with them has been the absolute best part. The other part is also the leadership that I get from the Sounders, right? My games are analyzed, my mannerisms on the sideline is analyzed, my actions, the way I approach the week and the training and how it results in the game is all analyzed, and I get feedback. Sometimes it's not easy to listen to that feedback, but it's the best because I know that it's done to make me better. the players have a developmental plan, but myself as the head coach of the second team also has a developmental plan according to my staff. And it's important that we're growing and I'm also getting the things that I need so that I'm better tomorrow than I am today.
It's so unique, right? To have almost like that mirror effect. Your players are evolving and you are evolving
100%.
as well. Well, Coach, I wish you all the best of
Thank
luck
you.
this season. Definitely, I enjoyed our conversation today, and I hope you guys did too. Be sure to tune in to the next episode of Coach's Corner to find out who I'll be speaking to next. For now, I'm April-Marie Aguilar. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.